Hey gardeners, Lindsay here with the Mindful Living Movement, and I'm talking about a favorite plant of mine, but also I think a favorite of many just for the simplicity of growing it, and that is pothos and all of the really fun different varieties that there are. Today specifically it's about propagation. So water propagating, repotting, plants that are root bound, how to decide sort of what the next pot size is, and then also ideal soil. So I'm going to take you right through beginning to end. First things first, you will see here that I've got two different varieties of pothos that I am water propagating, and these are ready to go. So you can see they've got really nice long roots on them, and it's pretty simple. If you've never done this before, wait until you have at least a good, you know, maybe 3-4 inches on each one. That's about ideal. Even more is always better, but this would be pretty good. And you can see that I've got sort of, it's like the cutting in the middle of the stem here that I've got. So basically what I've done is I've trimmed a whole bunch of plants. So I've snipped right here, and right here, and I've just sort of cut off a whole bunch, and then I've trimmed off the excess. And wherever you have one of those little nodes that's sticking out, you can see it's just a new root literally starting, you're gonna end up with a root that actually sprouts. So this is one that I have taken a bunch of cuttings off of. It's already, you know, starting to trail again, and then these are ready to be potted up. This takes, I don't know, I found that this was maybe, was it a month? Maybe a little more than a month? We'll say 2 months maximum for it to get like this. Max, it was definitely, I don't think, not quite that, but yeah, so this guy here, I'm basically going to be adding more, not to this pot, but I'm going to be increasing the pot size. So I'm gonna move up to about this pot size, which is a big jump, but this one's pretty root bound. And I have a pretty good bundle of cuttings. So what I'm going to do is I'm sort of just going to be a little bit more cautious with my watering after I do pot it into a bigger pot. But this plant's pretty established. It's got a lot of roots, and I have a lot of cuttings that I'm going to be adding to this. So it's probably not gonna be very long before it fills out. Pothos are pretty good at being root bound, actually. They're quite tolerant like this for quite some time. Like, you don't have to panic when you see them doing this, unlike other plants. But again, if you follow me, I'm not the best waterer. I definitely on the underwater side of things. So for me, it's always better to go just like a teeny little bit bigger on the pot size, because then the moisture balance is a little bit more even, because I am not a water plants to death. I'm usually on the other end of the scale. So that's what I'm gonna be doing with this one. This one being a root bound and lots of cuttings from that. So this other plant that I have here is actually fairly newly potted. These were water propagated cuttings that I stuck in a pot, and actually already they've got roots sticking out of the bottom. It's not really root bound, but I think it was reaching for the little bit of water that was sitting in the bottom of its catch pot. Again, probably because I don't really water enough. So the water that was in the bottom, it was trying to take advantage of. So I'm going to be repotting also into the bigger pot, and I'm going to be adding all of these extra cuttings to it. So I was debating actually going even bigger, but I think this is going to be the right move. So let's get started. So the mixture that I've got here is a bagged topsoil that I just like to stockpile when it goes on sale. So not a potting soil, but a topsoil. So I've added a few things to it. I've got this orchid mix, and I'm only really using this just because I like the bark that it has in it, and I only have one little plant, so I don't really need a big bag. And then I've added vermiculite because it holds moisture but also helps keep air in the soil. And I've added a few good heaping spoonfuls of worm castings as well, some freshly harvested worm castings. So they're kind of, they're quite wet. So I'm going to just see what I can do to kind of mush it all in together. And then this basically is kind of my standard potting soil creation. I generally do something in that realm. With pothos, I'm not really looking for anything like cactusy or anything like that, so I'm not adding sand. I'm just adding something that's going to have good aeration, but also sort of keep moisture balanced in it, and something that's going to hold moisture well for me, because as I've mentioned, I don't really water very well. So that's how I make dirt. Okay, so these pots, I have pre-drilled the holes. I'm gonna use a tray. I don't want water sitting in the bottom of these. Wow, yep. That is a severely root bound. Just gonna see if I can loosen it just a little. Okay, so I'm gonna bury this just a little bit deeper so that I get a little bit more root growth, a little bit higher up on the plant. Go a little bit more. So that is about how deep I'm sticking it in the pot. Okay, now before I put too much dirt in here, I'm now going to add my cuttings. So pretty simple. I'm just poking a nice little hole with my finger and sticking the plant and the root gently down in it. I'm adding 2 per hole since I have quite a few. And the soil's nice and loose because I haven't packed it down the sides at all. All right, so I'm just adding a little bit of extra soil. Not really packing it, just kind of fluffy adding it. Give it a little rinse slash watering, wash all the dirt off. All right, there she is. So my marble queen, all fresh and gorgeous.
Also shiny with that 3-eye vision. Take this moment, I'ma die inside it. I am pariah. Mariah, words they carry.
So quick peek at this guy. So you can see it was definitely not root bound. It hadn't even really filled up the dirt in its whole pot. So I'm just kind of keeping the clump together how it is. I've got the dirt about halfway. Actually, I'm gonna even get a little bit more out of there. And then gently just sort of setting it in the pot like that. So same thing, I'm going to take the cuttings and just sort of put them in 2s all the way around.
Lived and loved 100,000 conscious. It's all connected. We all some monsters. Snarl fangs out like we mapped the chomp, y'all. Raw heartbeat down on the man at Smash Bros. Don't slam no T-toes, just see stick hitting. Game true, baby, no PS prisms might be a prison of this sand around me. Hope I don't drown in the reef this week like a sound on my nose, but I hate this.
All right, so there are both of the pothos all potted up and ready to get really bushy and beautiful. So I'm guessing you're here because you really love filling your life and your house with plants, and maybe consider this winter making some of those plants things that you can actually eat. If that is of curiosity to you and you'd like to learn how to grow food indoors in the winter time, then head to the description and join the waitlist for my indoor food gardening course. We're going to be kicking off in the fall, which is going to be here very, very soon. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, gardeners. If you like this video and you found it helpful, hit that like button. And if you want to keep being notified for more videos just like this, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Hope you have a magical day. We'll see you again.